center field. And right, it is Damian Covarrubias. And then around the horn on the infield, you hear Urena is at third. At shortstop, it's David Diaz. Second base is Axel Miranda. At first, it's Manuel Zepeda. And behind the plate, we have, of course, Christian Del Valle and the much-discussed Carlos Parra out on the board for Mexico. And Chris, you just did the 2026 Pan Am qualifier. This young man, and by young, just into his 20s, 2021, I believe, pitched Mexico to a first ever win at the Pan Am Championships.
I mean, listen, I got to be careful. People are going to think he's my son the way I talk about him. He is so fun to watch. And you're right, to be so young and to have just nerves of steel against that Argentinian lineup in the final against guys like Alan Pecker and Teo Migliavaca and on and on and on, guys that are world champions, multiple-time world champions at different levels, and he shut them down into extra innings. Man, he is so fun to watch. Carlos Parra is a 2006 birth year. That means he'll turn 20 on September 18th.
So he and Jack Besgrove. The game is in pretty good hands with these two, and I'll throw Marco Diaz, even though he's not here, into that mix as well. There are some great young pitchers in this game.
Marco Diaz not here. The United States missed qualifying for the event in last year's U-23 Pan Ams, played in Argentina, and they finished fifth.
First pitch, and a great stop over there by Yahir Urena, and throws out Lachlan Hort. Wow, that was a hard one hopper and a great defensive play.
Well, pitchers need help. Oh, and it doesn't get any better than that. Yahir Urena. Hort got a real nice piece of that first pitch from Parra, who uses his changeup a lot, and I wonder if that's been scouted.
Well, you talked about New Zealand came out swinging. And in today's day and age, when so many games, virtually all of these championships now have multi-camera streaming, and scouting is a lot easier than it used to be in the old days.
Now, I'm not going to say Mexico is not in their season, but for Australia and New Zealand, they're just coming out of their summer. The players are going to be probably just a little more sharp than some of the other countries.
Yeah, they have all just wrapped up their various club and national team championships. Jack Besgrove has been playing in Japan. He has been all over the Caribbean for tournaments back last fall. I don't know that there's an off season for Jack. That one doesn't make Bubba Ewald strike zone.
And Christian Del Valle was litigating the pitch. Take a look at this.
Well, he went out, and that's over the right knee.
Oh,
and
that's
a good call by Bubba Ewald.
That's a great call. It was outside and maybe even low. And no argument about the last one.
Kynan Molander, who was on the men's team last year that went up to Prince Albert, and they struggled coming in as the defending champions. They're going to look to do a little bit better here, again, defending champions. He chases one down in the dirt for strike three. 2 out.
So I think I know who the locals are cheering for, Blair.
I think you've got a suspicion that it might be the team in white.
As usual, both Australia and New Zealand have traveled well. Mexico not quite as far of a trip.
There are always great Aussie fans in the crowd wherever their national teams play. Alexander Duncalf to the plate. First pitch, little too hopper out to second. And a 1-2-3 inning as Axel Miranda throws out Duncalf. And boy, you can hear the crowd. You know what side they're on.
Well, you don't see a Mexico team at any of these events without the best middle infield that they can put together. And third base looked pretty good as well, Blair. This is what we expected. Off to a great start in Sincelejo. things that it's something that they're going to be watching for early on. And if you can settle into the tournament, but Australia doesn't have that luxury because they're up against maybe their biggest competition off the start. And then one of the other things that we've got to consider is the format.
Well, I was just about to go there, because
Yeah.
both of these teams you would think would be a lock to make the super round. But the catch is that you carry your record against the other teams from your pool into the super round. Oh, a change-up and a beauty on the outside corner freezes. You hear Urania. He just flinched as that one went by on the far side of the plate.
We were driving here today. There was a black and white tuxedo cat in front of our van on the way here.
A tuxedo cat.
And that cat froze the same way that Urania did. Luckily, no animals were harmed in the transportation of the field, though.
Thank goodness. You wouldn't have wanted a sloth crossing the road in front of you there either. Although maybe there are no sloths here in Colombia. Maybe that's just a Costa Rica thing.
I don't know. We've seen some wildlife on the drive to the park from here to the hotel. There's a lot of farmland, and I mean, unlimited cattle, it appears, and one had broken loose on the road last night.
Well, there was another one we had to dodge this morning too. Leva swings through. And here's something that I'm starting to see more and more of from Jack Besgrove too, Chris. We know he's got velocity, but he's changing speeds more too. Not every hard pitch is top speed. It's not the full-blown changeup, but he'll just take a little bit off of it. That one had some zip to it.
Leva primarily came off the bench for Mexico at the recent Men's Pan American Championship, which was also played here in Colombia, in Monteria, about hour and a half, 2 hours down the road, depending on who's driving, whether or not it's with reckless abandon. But we took that drive in from Monteria. That's where we landed.
You need to be a rally driver to get some of these things here. It's insane. Leva chases upstairs, and Besgrove make it 5 in a row now for strikeouts. There's a lone walk sandwiched in and amidst that.
Yeah, and again, it's on the rise ball. And easier said than done, but a lot of these rise balls that they're swinging at are out of the zone. We saw earlier today, Japan against Czechia, when they recognized that none of the rise balls were in the zone, they stopped swinging at it. But again, much easier said than done. And conversely, if you're Besgrove and Stewart, if they're going to swing at it out of the zone,
keep going.
Throw it there all day.
Yeah, until they show they're going to have the discipline. Keep going higher. Galvin can't catch up with that one. That was almost in the mitt. And can't catch up with this one either. That one right down. Not sure what Main Street is here in Cincelejo, but that one was right down it.
I'll check Google Maps. I'll have it ready for you. Well, Main Street is right beyond the right field fence. That is the main road into town.
In it, you're right. Yeah.
We've had at least 3 home runs cross the road today.
And again, can't catch up to it. 3 up, 3 down, and another 3 strikeouts for Jack Besgrove. He's got it cooking here early. Other guy.
And
best
that's a
handle,
compliment.
Best build.
That's a compliment.
In for a strike. Carlos Parra is so slight of stature, Chris, but he throws hard.
It's deceiving.
He's got pretty good control out here. I mean, again, first time I'm seeing him in person. Looking forward to seeing him later in the year on the North American tournament circuit, too, as I hear he'll be debuting up in Ontario in a couple of months.
So one of the things about Parra that you got to like, you know, when you are built like that, and he's only filling out. Can you imagine what he's going to be in 4 or 5 years?
Oh, yeah.
But it's the repeatability, right? It's the smooth motion.
Boston Low, a multi-hopper out to short, and over and across is David Diaz. Makes that one look easy. So here's what I've seen from Carlos Parra so far, Chris. The ground balls, nobody's hitting them hard. And, well, Lockhart hit it a little hard, but
a lot hard, actually.
He gets ground balls, and that is a good thing. Get your defense working. Now, this guy, He doesn't get the bat in North America, but he's been hitting bombs all over the world. Jack Besgrove. This one's in tight and a little stare down from Besgrove.
Interesting. I don't know if that's on purpose.
And a shake of the head from Jack, too. He's not amused.
Well, I talked about it earlier in a game where both pitchers were hitting. And, you know, your pitcher's your ace in the hole. You don't want them getting hurt on the bases or at the plate.
But the interesting thing with Besgrove is he was dominant at the New Zealand Club Team Championships. Home runs, pitching, been hitting home runs in Japan.
No, listen, and one of the things we've seen from Australia over the last couple of years is offense has been hard to come by. So how do you keep that bat out of your lineup?
Yeah, 100%.
We wondered if maybe they'd wait, but clearly not in the 5 spot.
Down and in from Parra. Good eye by Besgrove.
I'm just sitting here thinking about how many times these guys are going to face each other all over the globe in the next 15, 20 years. And we're getting a look at it firsthand.
Yeah, well, let's hope that it lasts that long, because there are some great matchups over the years as Besgrove works a walk, the first base runner for Australia. And this is the other thing, Chris. I mean, it's not just the risk of injury, but now Jack's got to run around the bases, get tired. Yep. It's not like it's cool here. It is still 30-ish degrees or in that neighborhood.
I've got 30 on my watch here, and humid. Although today the humidity's been, for Columbia, it's been actually fair.
Well, we had a little bit of rain today to help spell that off. We had an hour rain delay at the other field, Vente de Nero Stadium.
Your Spanish is as good as mine.
Yeah, which is pretty bad, actually. Yeah. But we're trying, guys.
I tell you what, the people have been very, very kind to us with our poor Spanish.
Hayden Dobe at the plate. He and Jack Besgrove are the two carryovers from that team that won back in 2023. And I vividly recall the championship game. Riley James making the championship-winning catch and having it clunk off the heel of his glove, and he caught it in his bare hand at his waist. Up the middle to 2 for 1, back to 1 for 2. Some great defense out there by Mexico, Chris. You called it. Great defense up the middle, and it's on display right there.
I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, right? Oh, it's so hard to turn a double play in softball, but not if you're Axel Miranda, David Diaz, and they erase the threat just like that. Nice play by Zepeda to get down and grab the throw as well.
Tournament circuit played for the last couple of years, and he and his brother Jordan. Chris, you talk about great young players. This kid is real good, and that one up and in and clipped Solorio. I thought he managed to get out of the way, but it just clipped him.
It hit his helmet?
I think it must have got the face guard on the way by.
Oof. Good thing he had it there.
Yeah. I honestly would love to see that become mandatory. I know there are people who were, no, you shouldn't wear those, but that's the same people who don't want to wear seatbelts either. So I think those should be something everybody should wear. Damian Covarrubias, the 9-batter for Mexico. So that interrupts the 4 straight strikeouts by Jack Besgrove.
And no choice here if you're Mexico but to bunt. You're 9-batter. You got the leadoff guy on against Besgrove. Corners well in for Australia.
Swinging away is Covarrubias. And Chris, I'm not a big bunter, but I tend to agree with you in this particular situation.
Well, he showed bunt on the first pitch and then maybe trying to catch Besgrove leaving something over the plate with a healthy hack at the next one.
Squaring early here. Pops this one up. Stewart is scrambling and manages to get it over top of a sliding Boston low. And not a lot of room in foul territory, Chris, but just enough for Oliver Stewart.
Yeah, and you know, for me, I think worse than striking out in this situation is popping up the bunt. It just takes the bat out of your hand. It does nothing for you. Look, pitchers are so good now that they know what and where to throw a pitch to make you do that, but it's always so hard when you can't get that runner over.
Well, you're right. The 9 spot in particular, with a leadoff guy on base. David Diaz looks at ball 1.
But listen, David Diaz at the plate. Solorio's in scoring position now, so it's okay.
A healthy cut and fouled straight back.
Swings like that, Diaz is in scoring position too.
Yes, indeed. Our third base umpire, Patrick Roos from Holland, the Netherlands, will clear that one to stay in the game. There were some souvenirs that were collected at the ballpark, the stadium, earlier today. I don't think anybody told them in a softball tournament you're supposed to throw them back.
Our good sponsor at Mizuno is good for it.
Good drop ball from Bestgrove over the top by Diaz.
There's a few Mizunos that might not be round anymore. The game here earlier, the bats for New Zealand were well alive.
Kagi with 3, is that right?
Well, from Japan, yeah. There was a lot of home runs in this ballpark.
Called strike 3. David Diaz is caught looking. He's down on strikes for the second time today.
So far, Blair, in the tournament, we've not seen a lot of close games. Clearly one brewing here. Beautiful. Again, the low rise ball gets Diaz. Right now, Canada leading Denmark 1-0 in the top of the 6th at the other diamond.
And that one is closer, perhaps, than we would have thought. Canada finished, I want to say, they got the silver medal, but technically they were 3rd at that Pan Am qualifier.
Yeah, final day was rained out.
And did he stick with him? He did. I wonder if maybe he slid past the base. He did. And Emiliano Solorio caught stealing, and some good defense there to stick with it.
Yeah, Patrick Roosh, the second base umpire, all over it.
Yeah, Jai Thurston just kept the glove on the arm, and it came off the bag. You see that a lot in Major League Baseball these days, too. So we can talk more about this because I do want to get into that because it's a good discussion. I'm glad you brought it up. Speaking of Oliver Stewart, he's at the dish for Australia. Jack Bestgrove, a walk, their lone base runner back in the second, but he was erased on a real good-looking 4-6-3 double play.
Could be waiting a while for a run in this one, Blair. Although I may have just put the hex on Carlos Parra. Situation.
Well, and here's Scott Sunley, the skipper for, you don't see him in your shot right there, but Scott Sunley is out attracting Bubba Ewald's attention, and Carlos Parra Sr., he's still hanging around the pitching circle. This is the longest extended visit ever. There's Scott Sunley. So, Dobe's on deck. You said they put in the runner.
They did, but it looks like Gooden is coming in to run at 3rd for Hort.
That's curious.
There must be some. No, he's coming in to run at 2nd. That makes more sense.
For Boston Low.
Yes. That makes a lot more sense.
Yes, indeed.
So again, Scott Sunley recognizing the game, the situation, and if it's a chance to add just one more here, you've got to have your guys in the right position to do so.
Well, again, I'll take you back to the championship game in this event 3 years ago. A 1-0 win by Australia, and they got that run in the 6th, too. Upstairs, and Dobe lays off for ball 1. Here's where you got to come with your best now, Chris. It might be time for you to call that changeup again.
Well, it is, but you haven't thrown it at all is the other thing, and now do you trust to get it in the and around the zone, make it an effective pitch?
Well, he comes with the hard stuff, and now it's 2-0.
Man, it's day one. You can feel the tension in the stadium right now.
Without a doubt right now. And Mexico has got somebody up throwing too. Number 1 for Mexico. We'll get you that name in a moment. Right down the middle. Hit it if you can. And Hayden Dobe swings over the top.
Yeah, that's Jose Contreras down warming in the bullpen for Mexico.
And chases the drop ball downstairs. And just that quick, Chris, you go from 2-0 to 2-2. That's a great recovery for Carlos Parra.
He's not.
Words of encouragement here from the infield. Axel Miranda, Manuel Zepeda.
Parra's not intimidated by the moment. We know that. He's showing it again.
Some zip right on the outside corner. Dobe down on strikes, and this crowd erupts on the first base side as Carlos Parra works out of a bases-loaded jam.
You can hear it, I'm sure, through the speakers at home. I don't know if he hit a spot exactly there. As Del Valle was headed back inside, Parra goes outside, doesn't matter. Gets the result he was looking for.
Can't catch up to that one. Nothing we say or do in here influences what happens out there. We just are fortunate enough to talk about it.
Not physically, but cosmically, maybe. Well, you weren't here earlier, but I had to invoke the softball gods in the Japan-Czechia game. There was a ground ball to second that got through, and there wasn't any contact. It was actually great running, but it should have been the third out. The play should have been made. And the guy who missed it at second gets up the next inning, boom, 3-run home run to bring the game right back where it was.
Perfect. Urena chases upstairs, can't hold back. And Baskerov, I think, has really only thrown 1 or 2 full-blown changeups, Chris. We've been talking about him changing speeds, but only a couple.
That's by design, Blair. You've got to make the lineup prove that they can hit your other stuff.
Oh, 100%.
And so far, there's been 1 hit in either direction, and both were relatively softly hit balls.
Well, he lays off that one, and a leadoff walk for Yahir Urena.
So that's what I was alluding to earlier, right? We saw a lot of Mexican hitters chasing up and out of the zone, making it easy for Baskerov, who struck out 6 through the first 2 innings. He had 1 strikeout in the third. He had 2 more in the fourth. And Mexico has the leadoff guy on for the 3rd inning in a row.
Only the second was clean. Leyva took a bit of a running hack at it and fouled it straight back.
Any way at all, they like to say. Leyva came on as a pinch runner in the Pan American final back in Monteria. If I'm not mistaken, don't quote me, I think he was the guy who scored the winning run.
Squares the bunt, gets it down. They look at 2, but very wisely go to first to get the out. Molander just had a quick look, Chris, and made that snap decision. And again, I think the right one to go to first.
I think so too. I think that just shows his maturity as a ball player.
Yeah.
And it was never going to be there at second with the speed of Urena heading down the line. But here we go again. Mexico with a guy in scoring position. 4th out of 5 innings.
7, 8, 9 in the order for Mexico, with an opportunity to put them on top. And boy, you think this place got loud on a couple of those defensive plays. This pavilion might come down if they take the lead.
Seems structurally sound, but we'll see what happens.
But this one is lifted up to right. Alex Duncalf reels that in, and a missile to third base. nearly takes out Patrick Roos.
Patrick takes up a lot of room out there, but I tell you what, if you're a fan of softball, that's back-to-back defensive plays from Australia that are really, really exciting. That was the bunt play from Molander and then a gun from Duncalf and right. I thought maybe Urania would go. It was pretty shallow, and he made a wise decision not to test that arm.
Yeah, well, I don't think you want to make the third out at third in that situation. And as it turns out, that was a wise decision, too.
He wouldn't have been 3 feet off the second.
So Solorio, who had one glance off of the chin guard, the face guard. And you wonder, Chris, they threw up and in on Jack when he came in. And I wonder if that was just a little bit of a message back. I'm sure he was not aiming for the chin guard in any stretch. But coming up and in, absolutely.
And he was the very next batter that Bisgrove faced. But hey, I don't mind a little bit of sandpaper between these two teams.
Look, I mean, you look at the two people that Jack Bisgrove has had to learn from over the years, Andrew Kirkpatrick and Adam Folker. There's
not bad role models.
Nobody better to learn from than those two guys. And Adam Folker never minded buzzing the tower the odd time.
He was half decent, huh?
He was pretty good, yeah. He had a pretty good drop.
Think back to the run that Australia went on. They didn't win, but in Whitehorse in 2017, they were against the 8-ball, and they nearly clawed their way back through with Adam and Andrew. I mean, find me a better 1-2 punch.
Pretty tough.
There was some good ones over the years, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there's some people who want to talk about
And that
Pietnik.
one gets through Stewart and down to third and safe. Sliding in is Urena. So now a runner at third base with 2 down. And Chris, that ball came rifling back off of that screen. I can't, I don't know, you were talking earlier, sometimes it can go places, but I don't imagine we're going to get a lot of runs on pass ball wild pitches here.
The only one, I think we've seen one today because the ball shot down the third base side. Here's another look. Yeah, there's just, I mean, he nearly made the play at third base. It was really close.
Yeah, a lot closer than it had a right to be.
But yeah, some old school fans might have said, I don't know, Canada had Darren Zach and Mike Pietnik going back to back.
They were pretty good.
That's pretty.
I was going to say Ramon Jones and Eric Urbanea back in 2015.
Talk about two different pitchers, too.
So good. Oh, exactly.
Right?
Jones threw as hard as anybody in the game that year. And Urbanea was slower and slowest, but his stuff moved. So another lefty here whose stuff moved, and Solorio works a walk, and that is a really good at bat. Didn't chase, and there's a guy with some experience, Chris, who there's a lot of really good Mexican tournaments. There's a great league that they've got in the Tijuana area, and this team, and I know you've said it in some of our chat groups, this team is going to be good for a long time.
For a long time. Very, very young and coming through together.
In for a strike up high, and Solorio is just going to jog uncontested down to second base.
Interesting. There's 2 out, and Oliver Stewart looked back at the dugout like, hey, somebody got to let me know.
Well, and that's not the first time where I thought they've been late letting him know.
Yeah.
Because they've been running on him, thinking that they can test his arm. Chasing again is Covarrubias.
Now on the other side of that, you've got the 9 batter up against one of, if not the best pitcher in the world. You take your chances. You don't care so much. But I don't know. That looked to me that was not the plan.
Bisgrove leans, fires just upstairs.
Blair, you can hear the murmur in the crowd, the anticipation of something big happening here.
Well, this is back-to-back innings now. Australia with the bases loaded in the bottom of the fourth here. Runners at second and third in the top of the fifth. Both of these teams trading chances. We talked about who's going to blink first. It's not Jack Besgrove. Well, not yet. They check on the appeal, and no, says Pat Hazelton.
Let's see from our angle down from the first base side. It's close.
You know what? That's just about the hardest call. The only other one, when I talk to umpires, the two hardest calls to make are the check swing and whether or not it hit the foot.
Yeah, oh, the foot, yeah, for sure. Because you got a lot of good actors on the foot as well.
Besgrove again to Covarrubias. Fouled straight back. Had a healthy cut at it. Went after it.
That was not a two-strike approach whatsoever from Covarrubias.
If you're going to go, go.
Yeah, no sense hitting a slow roller to the right side, huh?
Well, the first baseman, Boston Lowe, just about the only one on the infield still in the sun, but it's behind him, so not an issue. There's a change-up, and the Aussie fans thought that they had it.
Must have been just outside.
Even Urania flinched. Yeah, he caught that over to the knee again.
Yeah, and on the replay, it's clearly a ball.
Jack's waiting for a different ball, is he?
Don't know what's happening here.
There's no ABS here.
Oh, man. I'm telling you, listen, there's no ties. Somebody's got to score a run at some point. And you're right, the top might just come off that grandstand if it's a team in white.
7-8-9 for Australia. Oliver Stewart, Jai Thurston, and Nicholas Crouch, the scheduled batters. Jose Contreras finishes his warm-up tosses as he's making his way back to the Mexico bench on the first base side.
So Blair, not the only tight game going on in the tournament right now. And if you've got GameTime.sport open, you might want to open a second window as Canada leads Denmark 3-1 in the seventh. However, the Danes have the tying run on first and nobody out in the bottom.
Well, that was a no-hitter by Nick Need deep into that game.
He's still out there, but Denmark's gotten to him.
Be the third time through for the Danish team, and that's a decent team, Denmark. They compete well with Czechia, who typically are the class of the field in Europe, but very scrappy. They've got some good coaching over there too. Kim Hansen, who was a long-time player on the North American circuit from Denmark, and a little flair. Diaz will gobble that up pretty quickly.
Yeah, nothing in that for David Diaz, that's for sure. We haven't seen a lot of him defensively today. A couple of times, well, of course, that sparkling double play. And on a difficulty scale, this would have been the complete opposite end.
Yeah, we talked about that one that came with a bow on it for Parra. That one was pretty similar for Diaz. Jai Thurston down on strikes back in the third. For all the action we've had, Chris, the last inning and a half, each team only has one hit in this game.
I think that just speaks to how difficult it's been.
Yeah, they've worked some walks, they've got guys on, but nobody has been able to get a key hit when it's come to it. That one up and out of the range of Del Valle. He gave it a valiant effort there, but that one made it all the way to the backstop, just missed the mascot.
Well, these pitchers are, in fact, we've done the testing, human. So we will see how, as this game extends into the late innings, it affects them.
fouled off at the plate, and that went off the shin guard of Del Valle.
Pitch count still very low, Blair. That was the 64th pitch for Carlos Parra. Jack Besgrove has thrown 79.
So maybe by the time he finishes this inning, they're going to be pretty much in the same range, depending on how this plays out. But they have almost been pitch for pitch.
And they're both right about 65% strikes. 60-65%, my quick grade 12 math tells me.
If I'm reading the right column, Parra in about high 70s, it looks like, where he's topping out. Besgrove, like I said, 84 is about Jack's top speed. He throws really hard, but he's not the hardest thrower in the game. But his thing is movement. And you've sat behind home plate when we've done games with Jack elsewhere. And it's astounding how much his stuff moves.
Yeah, we're a little off center at this venue, so we don't get the same luxury, although you can see it very nicely from this camera angle.
That one downstairs, and a real good at bat for another walk. This one to Jai Thurston. And this has been really, Chris, the only chink in the armor for both these guys is a couple of walks here and there, and that has started some innings.
Yeah, that is the 4th walk for Parra, and Besgrove has 3 walks and a hit batter. So, I mean, these guys are marrying each other.
It is tit for tat here. It was Crouch, the 9 batter. He squares to bunt and watches this one down low for ball 1. Parra just asking, was that low? Bubba Ewald says yes.
Yeah, Parra's in the 77 to 79 range with most of his pitches, both up and down.
Crouch squares again and pushes it through on this one with no contact.
A little bit of extra there, 81 is what the radar says.
Yeah, so that's a little bit of zip. There are a couple of times where he's come up with just that good old country hardball here. Hit it if you can. On the move. Throws there in plenty of time and got him at second base. Okay. It was on the wrong side of the bag, and he still had time to swing it across.
It's a memo to everybody else here in Group B. Careful. Because
it wasn't even on the wrong side. It was right at the bag.
A great jump by Thurston. And he was out easily.
Yeah. So that gives us an opportunity to quickly talk about that stealing rule, as Crouch showed bunt and then chases after one down in the dirt. But we'll do that when we come back around that new stealing rule. It didn't help Jai Thurston here. Another 1-2-3 inning. They work around that walk. Still scoreless. I don't know who's going to blink. We might be here for a while before we find out.
He's another really young player. Like, he's right around Parra's age versus a 23-year-old.
Yeah, and a real supportive family. I know his dad, Bruce, a little bit, and a real supportive group there. Happy for Nick Need, good kid. Another good kid at the plate here with David Diaz. He looks at one high. Well, you're allowed to flinch up there.
Yeah, they ask. They didn't get the answer they were looking for. The ball now, Blair, going from shade to sun to shade in a millisecond.
Yeah, that one was upstairs. There was an internet clip. It's a couple of years old now. I'm not even sure you could find it anywhere if you were looking for it. But one of these sports commentators that was Jack pitching at night. And you couldn't even see the ball come in. And his comment was, "What sorcery is this?"
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
That That one misses upstairs, ball 4, and a real good at bat by David Diaz to work a walk. And again, Chris, a runner aboard and another leadoff walk. 5, is that right? 4 walks and a hit by pitch, is that right for Jack in the game so far?
That's right.
And that's a little uncharacteristic.
And that's 3 out of the last 4 innings where it's been a hit batter and 2 walks to the leadoff guy.
Zepeda had a notion to slap that one somewhere.
This is a dangerous spot here for Jack Besgrove. Zepeda can do it either way you want.
Well, you're top of the order and 3rd time through. This is where you need to start to make the adjustments. And he drops down a bunt. It's a beauty. Molander up and over to first. And a nice sack bunt there by Manuel Zepeda.
I tell you what, the stolen base caught me a little bit by surprise by Zepeda earlier, but you know what? For a big man, he just happens to move very, very quickly. And props to Kynan Molander for another good job on a bunt.
Del Valle, opportunity here for Mexico. And we'll see if we test the structural integrity of the stadium.
Well, Carlos Parra Sr. saw something that he wanted to say to Del Valle before he took on this at-bat.
And it's interesting that the skipper in the first base box, too. You don't often see that.
No, you don't. Shorter walk for him.
I'm sure it's more than that.
Well, the one thing, it keeps you close to your bench, and I'll be curious to see, because I've seen him over at third before.
It does make those substitution calls much easier. Chasing the rise ball. That's been a consistent theme this afternoon.
Yeah, and Del Valle's been chief among the guys who have been hacking at it.
Besgrove leans. Chopper to Molander, looks the runner back, and a good strong throw over to first. I'm impressed with Kynan Molander playing third base. When I saw him last summer, he was patrolling left field, but he was positioned as an infielder. Gotta be honest, didn't look real comfortable out there in left field.
Oh, looks very comfortable out there
but
today.
He's been very good indeed.
He's been the answer on the infield for Australia.
Axel Miranda down twice tonight on strikes. This one just misses.
Anything through the infield will score Diaz.
Chases the rise ball. We could put that on a loop. It's been the go-to pitch for Besgrove this afternoon. It's not always his best pitch, but tonight he's been able to elevate it and get it up out of the zone. Chris, you talked about occasionally pitchers will leave one flat. Certainly hasn't been the case for the big lefty tonight. Again, this one above the letters.
Yeah.
And just a little bit inside, too. He just completely tied up Axel Miranda.
Yeah, Mexico chasing a lot of these well out of the zone. Again, like I said, much easier said than done, but it'll be something they watch on the video after this game.
Miranda wants to keep the hands up. He keeps dropping them a little bit and chases this one for strike 3. Jack Besgrove works around a leadoff walk. Gets a ground ball, some help from the defense, and then rears back and does it himself for the final out of the inning. We'll go to the home half of the 6th. Still scoreless. We said this was going to be a good one. This is an opportunity here for Australia as just a little bit of a bobble by Urena. Comes in, tried to barehand it. He knows that Lachlan Hort runs very well.
Well, I said to you in between innings off the air that I think Mexico has left too many guys on, and there you get a play where Hort finds his way on base here in the bottom of the 6th. And, you know, it's just one of those things when you've seen enough of these games.
That one comes up and hits Molander, but he is in the box, says Bubba Ewald. And That was down and up so quick. I don't know. You can't really make any other argument. You see it here. It's down off the plate, and he's not even moved yet out of the box.
Yeah, he hadn't moved his feet. He was leaning out over, and that's how it ended up hitting him.
Yeah. Squaring again, and this one is down low, so 1 ball, 1 strike. I was a little surprised both Zepeda and Urena were a little casual until he squared. I would have thought, well, now Urena is in 12, 13 steps from the bag. And that one is bunted foul back to the screen.
Well, as good as Molander's been defensively, this is the second time now he's had an opportunity with the leadoff guy on, and he has not been able to get a bunt down. Ended up striking out last time. They did send the runner on that, and we'll see if that's on again.
And again, as the runner, you don't wait for the ball to leave the hand anymore. You watch the front foot, and as soon as the front foot comes back down, that's when you go. Called strike 3. Can't get the bat off the shoulder there. It's a tough at bat for Kynan Molander, Chris.
Yeah, I mean,
couple of bunt attempts, but
he's now 3 strikeouts on his ledger for the day, and that couldn't have been any more perfect. Low rise ball from Carlos Parra right at the belt.
Well, he has answered every challenge that Australia's thrown his way too. Duncalf goes hard after the first pitch. No sign of a bunt there.
Hard fake from Lachlan Hort as Del Valle had come up ready to throw. And, you know, Blair, I think back to the recent Pan Am Championship for Mexico, and I wondered when Parra was going to blink even when facing adversity, and he didn't.
Never happened.
He didn't. And he's so young, you're like, well, eventually. So this doesn't surprise me.
And these are your experiences that you'll draw on when you get into these types of situations because you've been there already. You've faced it. Just off the outside corner. Del Valle held it there for an extra second to give Bubba Ewald a good look at it. I've never actually seen an umpire. No, you know what? You're right. That was a strike. I've never seen that once work.
Tell you what, they wouldn't make it to this tournament if it did.
On the ground, boy, that hop came up, but that was played real nicely over there by Axel Miranda.
I mean, silky, right? Silky. And given the situation, like you can't let that ball get through middle of the order, and it takes a hop right up to your shoulder, and you make it look that easy. Man,
that was a hop.
Axel Miranda's been outstanding out there today.
Yeah, real good middle infield defense with this Mexico team. Boston Lowe, cleanup hitter for Australia. A base open at first with Jack Besgrove lurking in the on-deck circle. No, not even close to a swing.
And you talked about the experience. With all due respect to the hitters in the Australian lineup, Parra in the back of his mind knows I've shut down some of the best hitters in the world with my stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the confidence that must breed is unbelievable.
Well, he just shook something to get to that pitch. And there's a bleeder up the middle. Here comes Hort, and it's bobbled in the outfield. And Australia takes a 1-0 lead. Not hard hit at all, Chris, but it's where you hit him. Not hard, and that one right back up the middle.
Don't believe in the announcer's curse, huh? Good piece of hitting from Boston Lowe.
And just a bobble there by Miguel Leyva.
Not sure he had a chance anyway. He knew he had to be fast with Hort running. And what was the old saying? When they go low, we go high? Well, when they go high, Australia goes low.
Wow. You went a long way to get that.
You got to work for it sometimes.
That was Ron McLean-esque.
Manufactured run in the bottom of the 6th. Were you just saying something about that?
I was just about to say this scenario has played out before for Jack Besgrove and Australia in their future as Del Valle shows you his athleticism. He goes way up in the air to get it. Here's the look at the low hit again, and just that bobble, and maybe he's looking up, but you saw where Lachlan Hort was. They were not going to get him no matter what.
No.
He was flying around third. Besgrove swings through an inside drop. Downstairs, in and out of the glove, and Boston Lowe is going to scoot up to second base.
That gets a reaction from the Australian delegation.
You know that they are pleased for Boston Lowe to be putting his wheels on display.
And remember, he has already been run for once in this game and re-entered, so if they were to take him out again, he'd be done.
He would be done indeed.
Para thought that was strike 3.
Yeah, he's got a little wry grin on the face. Turned and walked back to the board. Tied up Besgrove. That was inside. He had to bring the hands in to foul that off. And I think, Chris, if I was pitching to my counterpart as a pitcher, I would work inside all day long, right on the hands.
If you've ever been in there, it's a lot harder to hit an inside pitch than it is something out over the plate.
This one, well hit by Besgrove, and gone! Besgrove with an arm swing coming around the bases. A big fist pump as he gets to third, and he's got his whole group out there to greet him at the plate.
Well, Blair, how do you follow up an MVP performance in the previous iteration of this tournament? Well, you start hitting as well.
We said he's been doing it all season. He left North America in early August. It was early for Jack when he cleared North America last year. Played and hit bombs in Japan, in New Zealand, at home. He's been over to the Caribbean a couple times, and now Dobe, a little bleeder back to Para to end the inning. But what excitement and drama here in the 6th. And now Mexico down to their final 3 outs. So you need to bunch together here, bunch, good English player. You need to get a bunch of them together and do what Australia just did. They put 3 together.
Yeah, I mean, don't like to say I told you so, but Mexico had so many chances, and eventually that's going to come back to bite you. We talked about Besgrove. We talked about basically the script of this game. Now, oftentimes it doesn't play out the way you expect it. This one has.
Well, and score late. Australia's done that. Turn it over to Jack here in the 7th. They're going to do that. Mexico has had the leadoff runner aboard the last 3 innings. They've had runners in every inning other than the 2nd. This one will sting a little because they've come in, on a high. They're the Pan Am champions coming in here. They've got a pitcher who they think is equally as good as anybody in the field. This one will sting a little.
It's going to be small solace to them for the modicum of success they had during this game. They still got no runs. They're still fighting a major uphill battle right now. But if you look at the bigger picture, you've got 7 innings of data against this guy, and you just hope to get another look at him next Sunday.
And that is where they would potentially meet one more time. And one more time, we get a leadoff walk and a runner aboard here in the 7th.
Very curious.
Mexico is not done yet.
Second walk for Urania, and to be honest, Blair, it didn't look like he was too engaged with that at bat at all. He was like, throw me 3 strikes. Maybe that's what they're going to say. If you're going to throw that rise ball out of the zone, we're going to leave it there.
Called a strike on the outside corner. And there are times when, as a coach, you can tell your team, if that ball is above your waist, you do not swing. And if you strike out on it, if they call it, then that's on me, not you as the coach. But it's tough. This one completely eludes Stewart. Up to second base goes Urena.
And if you're Australia, you don't really care about that runner out at second. However, you don't want another guy on.
Well, you do care and you don't, because in the event some mathematics come into it, you want to limit your runs against to the greatest extent possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you want to win the game first, because head-to-head is always where they're going to look first. The entire Mexico bench is up at the screen as Leyva chases this one, trying to slap. A lot of moving parts there in the batter's box. And 2 balls, 2 strikes. Besgrove looks down for the sign. Now, Stewart had gone to the other batter's box, Chris, and he had to reach way back across his body to get that. That's a complete miss by Besgrove.
A miss or a mix-up with the runner on second?
And there's called strike 3. Leyva watches one too many go by.
Yeah, looked like a low rise on the inside part of the plate. But Stewart did have to reach across himself. He was set up outside.
Yeah, and that was inner half.
Yeah. When you're that good, you get away with it sometimes.
Edwin Galvin. Bleeder to Besgrove. He'll turn. Underhand to first. And 2 down. Mexico are down to their final out. Emilio Solorio, you see here, just a little bleeder. Yeah, right off the end of the bat. The only thing Besgrove has got to do there is just make sure he gets his footwork down, because it could be easy to trip in a divot.
Looking out at Urena with 2 outs, that's been the story of the game. That's the narrative. Too many guys left out alone on the bags for Mexico.
Yeah, just haven't been able to string a couple of hits together to push anything across. In with a changeup down in the zone for strike 1.
Have not seen many of those.
No, very few and far between. We did not see, I don't think, a full-blown changeup from Carlos Parra the entire game.
No, he's got that back-breaking changeup that usually makes everyone go, ooh. Not one of them.
And that gets through the wickets on Stewart, but it comes back, and we've been talking about this all game, it comes back so quick.
That's funny, Blair.
No opportunity.
I looked down at my scorebook just to move the runner over to third, and I looked back up, and he was standing at second.
Yeah, he got 3 steps off, and that was it. Chris, from here, if this one ends, we will go over to opening ceremonies. Then the final game of the night, Colombia and South Africa, as we're nearing the end of day 1.
They're expecting a big crowd for the opener for the home side.
There's lots of signs in the vicinity of the 2 parks, and there's lots of people, obviously, here. And again, there was a lot of people at the other park. It doesn't look like it because it's such a big facility. But I'm sure it's going to fill up.
Good eyes by Solorio on that pitch.
Chases for strike 2. So 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Mexico a runner aboard. Emiliano Solorio trying to keep things alive for the Mexican squad. A little meeting on the mound here for Australia. Just to remind everybody, we need 1 out. Let's just get the out.
Curious timing, I thought, for that. And I wondered at first if Stewart and Besgrove were, again, not in sync. But maybe it was just a chance to take a breather.
I think so. Just a reminder. Yeah. The low drop on the outside corner misses.
A measly 83.9 on the radar gun.
Well, there's no doubting the stamina of Jack Besgrove. You go back to that qualifier event in late 2024, and he willed them into qualifying for the World Cup. And that one just misses off the corner. Besgrove bouncing around out there, thought he had strike 3.
Yeah.
So, tying run to the plate.
And a pinch hitter.
Contreras, who was warming up down the line 3 innings ago. It's a pretty good afternoon for Emiliano Solorio, hit by a pitch and 2 walks against one of the 2 or 3 best pitchers in the world.
Stolen base and caught stealing. And the stolen base was kind of defensive indifference. But this is enough to bring Scott Sunley out of the dugout. Tying runs at the plate. It ain't over till it's over, and this is why we love these tournaments.
You'd think you were at a Cleveland baseball game with the drum beat going in the background up in the bleachers.
And a guy who won't turn 19 until July, Jose Contreras.
Has a healthy cut, but again, a rise ball above the letters. Timed it upright, but
Blair, we saw this earlier. Argentina's got a young guy as well who is hitting down in the order. Obviously, much junior to his teammates, but obviously a young stud. Could this be his moment?
In for strike 2, and Contreras really draws that leadoff foot, that front foot back almost to his ankle, and then strides forward again. So again, just a lot of moving parts in the box. 0-2 the count. Jack Besgrove trying to lead Australia to a day 1 victory. This one is straight up, and that's going to get out of play down the left side. Molinder gave it a look, but well out of play.
The thing with the rise ball is if a guy can catch it, it can go a long way. And Contreras just missed hitting that a long way. He was on his way up. He might have been on his tippy toes.
Again, the check to the wristband. Change up and a beauty. Jack Besgrove freezes Contreras at the plate, and he does it all here this afternoon for Australia, pitching and hitting. Oof, buckles the knees.
Yeah, I mean, what a time to break it out. Contreras was geared up for the high, hard stuff, and Besgrove reaches into the back pocket and pulls out the changeup.
Well, Chris, we talked top of the shop, that this was going to be a real good ball game. I'm glad we got the opportunity here to see this one in person. A one-hitter for Jack Besgrove. But boy, there are a lot of base runners left aboard for a one-hitter. Some room for improvement from Besgrove. At the plate, had himself a night. And when it's all said and done, a very